room I found myself in was dimly lit and quiet. There was a man sitting on the floor, Oriental fashion, with what looked like a large chessboard in front of him. For a moment I thought it was our friend Pablo. At any rate, he was wearing a similar brightly colored silk jacket and had the same darkly gleaming eyes. "I'm nobody," he explained in a friendly manner. "We don't have names here. None of us here is a real person. I'm a chess player. Do you want me to teach you how to reconstruct your personality?" "Yes, please." "Then be so kind as to hand over a few dozen of your pieces." "My pieces?" "The pieces you saw your so-called personality disintegrate into. I can't play without pieces, you know." He held a mirror up in front of me, and in it, I again saw my unified self disintegrate into many separate figures. There seemed to be an even larger number of them now, but they were very small, roughly as big as handy-sized chessmen. Picking up a few dozen of them with his calm, steady fingers, the chess player placed them on the floor next to his board. As he did so, he said in a monotonous voice, like someone repeating a speech or a lesson he has frequently given before, "You are familiar with the mistaken and harmful notion that human beings constitute lasting, unified wholes. You are also aware that they are made up of a multiplicity of souls, of very many selves. To split up the ostensible unity of the person into all these different pieces is considered mad. Science has coined the term schizophrenia for it. Of course, inasmuch as it is impossible to bring any large number of things under control without leadership or a degree of combination and categorization, science is right to do so. On the other hand, scientists are wrong in believing that the only possible combination of our many sub-selves is a once-and-for-all thing, a binding arrangement valid for the whole of our lives. This error on the part of scientists has many unpleasant consequences. All that can be said in its favor is that it simplifies the task of those appointed by the state to teach and educate, sparing them the trouble of thinking and experimenting. As a result of this error, many human beings are considered normal, indeed of great value to society, who are incurably mad. Conversely, there are quite a lot of people regarded as mad who are geniuses. What we here term the art of reconstruction is a way of filling in the gaps in science's inadequate view of human psychology. To those people who have experienced the disintegration of their selves, we demonstrate that they can reassemble the pieces in a new order of their own choosing whenever they like. They are thus in a position to master the infinite variety of moves in life's game. Just as writers create a drama from a handful of characters, we are forever able to regroup the separate pieces of our dismantled selves, and thus offer them new roles to play, new excitements, situations that are constantly fresh. Look what I mean. With his calm, steady fingers, he took hold of my figures, all the old men, youths, children, and women, all the cheerful and sad, strong and gentle, agile and clumsy figures, and swiftly arranged them on his board in preparation for a game. Immediately the game started, they reconstituted themselves as a world in miniature, forming groups and families, playing and fighting with each other, making friends and enemies. To my delight, he set this lively but orderly small-scale world in motion for a while before my very eyes. I watched the figures play and fight, form alliances and engage in battles, saw them court one another, marry and multiply. It was indeed a drama, a lively and exciting one with a large cast. Then, with one serene sweep of his hand across the board, he gently knocked over all the pieces and pushed them together in a heap. With all the thoughtful care and fastidiousness of an artist, he now proceeded to construct a new game from the same pieces, grouping them differently, altering their relationships and interconnections. This second game was not unrelated to the first. It was the same world he was constructing, and its materials were the same. But it was a composition in a different key, The tempo had changed. The motifs were given fresh emphasis, and the situations were set up differently. And thus, this artist adept at reconstruction assembled one game after another from the figures that were all part of myself. They all bore a distant resemblance to one another. All recognizably belonged to the same world and shared the same origin. Yet each game was totally new. "This is the art of living," he said, as if lecturing me. "In future, you yourself may play out your life's game in this way, reshaping and enlivening it, making it richer and more complex as you wish. It's up to you. Just as madness in a higher sense is the beginning of wisdom, schizophrenia is the beginning of all art, all fantasy. Even scholars have already half acknowledged this, as you can tell by reading that delightful book, The Prince's Magic Horn, in which the painstaking, assiduous research of a scholar is lent nobility by the brilliant works of a large number of deranged artists who collaborated with him while confined in institutions. Here, why not take your little chessman with you? You'll often have the opportunity to enjoy a game in future. Then the figure that spoiled things for you today by his monstrously intolerable behavior can be demoted to a minor role, and you can turn the poor, dear little figure that for a while seemed ill-starred, dogged by sheer bad luck, into a princess in the next game. Sir, I wish you the greatest of pleasure.